Into the Pit is an upcoming Five Nights at Freddy's game developed by Cat Studios, based on the Fazbear Frights story of the same name. Unfortunately, the game was leaked, but Scott Cawthon stated on Reddit that he's fine with people talking about it, so it's been widely discussed. From the leaked footage, the game looks fantastic. The game has a pixel art style, and while it's heavily based on the short story, it has some changes. In case you're unfamiliar with Into the Pit, I'll recap it for you quickly. Into the Pit is the first story in Fazbear Frights, a book series consisting of short Five Nights at Freddy's stories, with some connected directly to the games. Into the Pit follows Oswald, a young boy in a town that suffered since the closure of the mill, causing many businesses to close and Oswald's friends to move away. Over the summer, Oswald visits Jeff's Pizza, a rundown pizza place. One day, Oswald decides to hide in the location's ball pit to force his dad to come and look for him. But when Oswald emerges from the ball pit, he's in Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, seemingly having traveled back in time to 1985 before Jeff's Pizza even existed. Oswald visits Freddy's multiple times during the summer, often noticing a yellow rabbit in the pizzeria watching him. One day, when Oswald visits Freddy's, the place is in absolute chaos, with people running around and everyone screaming. Oswald finds the yellow rabbit, who beckons him into a private area where a group of murdered children is revealed to Oswald. Oswald flees the yellow rabbit and escapes back through the ball pit, but the yellow rabbit follows him through, dragging his dad into the ball pit, then taking Oswald into his dad's car and driving to Oswald's house, then seemingly replacing his dad at home, with no one, not even Oswald's mom, noticing that this is a giant yellow rabbit. Oswald eventually returns to Jeff's Pizza and finds his dad in the ball pit, still breathing. The yellow rabbit then appears out of nowhere, attacking Oswald and revealing a sharp row of teeth that he uses to bite Oswald's arm. During the fight, the yellow rabbit gets tangled in the ball pit's net, getting the net wrapped around its neck, and the yellow rabbit is hung from the ball pit. Oswald's dad then wakes up, the two leave Jeff's Pizza, and the empty rabbit suit hanging from the ball pit. In the later entries of Fazbear Frights, it's revealed that the ball pit contains the memories of many spirits. Similar to the spiritual world Carlton experiences in the fourth closet, the ball pit seems to be some sort of remnant realm, explaining how the ball pit transports Oswald into the past. Oswald isn't time traveling, he's experiencing a supernatural recreation of the missing children's incident. With the summary out of the way, let's get to my thoughts on the game. To start off, a huge appeal of this game to me is the pixel art. Five Nights at Freddy's is no stranger to pixel art. There's pixel art in almost every Scott game, and the Princess Quest arcades and the newer entries have amazing pixel art visuals. For having what appears to be the entire game as pixel art, the game's art style needs to be really good. And while I'm no expert at pixel art, I think the game's art style looks absolutely incredible, and the animations are really smooth. The 1985 Freddy's looks pretty dang eerie, with the location bathed in darkness and illuminated by bright arcade lights. Another thing I'm very excited about in this game is the Yellow Rabbit, which I'll be referring to as Yellow Thing. Yellow Thing is more monstrous than the normal Yellow Rabbit, seemingly manifested from the agony of Afton's crimes, namely the murder of the missing children in 1985 that Oswald witnesses. Having a character formed from Afton's crimes isn't a new thing. It's heavily implied that Glitchtrap was created from the memories of Afton's murders infecting the Mimic 1 program. But having his agony manifest as an organic yellow rabbit monster is just sick, and like most of the newer FNAF installments, goes to show how Afton's legacy has outgrown him. The whole monstrous vibe the Yellow Thing has going on is absolutely amazing. From the trailer, we've seen the Yellow Thing's mouth is all fleshy and gross, and I seriously can't get over how cool he looks. And something really unique for the series, and I can't wait to see how it plays out in game. FNAF has previously had a trend of poorly using its main villains, either having them do something only at the very end of the game, or just having them hardly show up. Judging from the leaked trailer and screenshots, the Yellow Thing will be fairly active, chasing Oswald through Freddy's, his house, and attacking Oswald's dad at Jeff's Pizza. Another interesting thing about this game is that it has the classic animatronics. The leaked screenshots of the game show Freddy, Bonnie, and Chica. This is a change from the original story, where they weren't very active, and judging from Bonnie's screenshot, the original animatronics will be antagonists, which is great. The original animatronics are very iconic, and while I'm glad the newer games have a more original cast, it's always nice to see the classic animatronics returning. I'm assuming the classic animatronics will be confined to the 1985 Freddy's, while Yellow Thing will follow Oswald out of the Remnant realm and will be active in the real world. I'm not exactly sure when the classic animatronics will appear. All of the footage of Freddy's is at night, while in the original story, Oswald only visits the pizzeria during the day. Oswald might return to Freddy's after witnessing the missing children's incident, possibly an attempt to find his dad after he's dragged into the pit. From a gameplay standpoint, it makes sense to change the game's ending. In the original story, Oswald simply returns to Jeff's, which would be boring gameplay-wise. It'd be much more exciting to return to the 1985 Freddy's for the game's finale. Speaking of the game's ending, according to Cat Studios, the game will have multiple endings, which is a big change from the original story. That begs the question, what will these endings be? One ending will likely be the original ending from the story, with Oswald saving his dad and the Yellow Thing being defeated. I have a couple ideas for alternative endings. I think it's very likely we'll get a bad ending where Oswald dies. But another major possibility is an ending relating to the Stitch Wraith. For those of you who haven't gone too far down the FNAF rabbit hole, the Stitch Wraith is an endoskeleton with the head of the Simon doll, possessed by a young boy named Jake who died from cancer. The Stitch Wraith also has the battery pack from Fetch, possessed by Andrew, a vengeful spirit who tormented William Afton and kept him alive. The Stitch Wraith is possessed by these two boys, and William Afton's weak soul is there as well, but they don't know that. Throughout the series, the Stitch Wraith hunts down the main villains from Fazbear Frights who are infected by agony. So, across the Fazbear Frights series, the Stitch Wraith is reported collecting animatronics, or carrying bags of trash and destroying them. It's possible that in one of the game's endings, we'll see the Stitch Wraith collecting infected items. It'd be really awesome to see the Stitch Wraith in the games. They're a pretty interesting character who deserves a lot more love. We might also see Eleanor in one of the game's endings. Eleanor is the overarching villain of Fazbear Frights. She's an entity who feeds off the suffering of others, and towards the end of the series, she's heavily implied to be behind most of the events in the books. Eleanor is such an important character, being revealed as the cause of most of the stories in Fazbear Frights, the final villain in the epilogues, and even being referenced in Tales from the Pizzaplex. Considering her major role in the series, Eleanor is an obvious choice to include in the Into the Pit game, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see her in one of the endings. While we're on the topic of speculation, something to note is that Oswald's bedroom kinda looks like the FNAF 4 bedroom. The room is clearly old, with some damaged walls, and has a similar layout to the Crying Child's bedroom in the minigames. It also has the toys from the FNAF 4 test room seen in the main gameplay. Oswald's house being the old Afton household might explain why the yellow thing replaces Oswald's dad, and how it knows where he lives. Being formed from the memory of William Afton, it goes back to his house and takes the role of the father because that's what William Afton did. If true, this could be a really good way to flesh out the story, and the yellow thing, but this is all just speculation. However, I think the connections to FNAF 4 are pretty clear and intentional. Another thing to note is that in the Mills screenshot, some of the Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator characters can be seen in the trash, possibly implying that this game happens after Pizzaplex burns down. The Pizzaplex fire is mentioned multiple times in Fazbear Frights. The Stitch Wraith is seen there a couple times, the puppet's remains are collected from the fire site, and William Afton's weakened state in the series seems to be an aftermath of burning in Henry's trap. Similar to the Security Breach, Tales from the Pizzaplex, Ruin, and Help Wanted 2, this game seems to yet again be connected to the aftermath of Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator, nicely tying all these stories together. However, it's also worth mentioning that the metadata of the yet-to-be-released Jeff's Pizza website, it's said that the game takes place in 2020, and most people believe that Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator takes place in 2023, judging from the numbers on Henry's audio log, so that might throw a wrench into this theory. Despite not having released yet, Into the Pit already has a couple pieces of merch. Long before the game was announced, Hot Topic released an Into the Pit t-shirt, likely intended for the game itself. U2 seemingly has a Yellow Thing plushie in the works as well. On Twitter they showed off a Yellow Rabbit plushie shortly after the game leaked, with the caption, "Into the," obviously being a reference to Into the Pit. While this could just be a movie Yellow Rabbit plushie, the plushie has both its ears and withering on both sides of its body, unlike the movie Yellow Rabbit suit, which is missing an ear and has withering on only one side. I'm really hoping this turns out to be a Yellow Thing plushie. As I mentioned earlier, he's a very unique character and I'd love to have more merch of him. In conclusion, Into the Pit looks like a very promising game. It has a great art style, unique villain, and his changes from the original story look interesting. According to Scott, this game is being made for the 10th anniversary, meaning it will likely be released on August 8th, 2024. I'm very excited for this game. It's very unique for the series and I love seeing FNAF try new things. Thanks for watching this video. If you did enjoy this, please consider supporting us by subscribing and donating to our Ko-Fi. You can donate however much you want or subscribe to membership to get exclusive updates on our animations, games, comics, short stories, and more. Thanks for watching, and remember, Eleanor is coming to the games and she is very dangerous and powerful.